Mpower is here with Trevor Lewis to talk a little bit about, running your staff and your students. So Trevor, would you mind telling us a little bit about who you are, how long you've been training for, and the styles you teach?
So I've been training for about 31 years. I have 4 black belts in 4 different styles. Predominantly I teach Shotokan karate and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So those are the real 2 styles we teach at the school, and it's more of an eclectic blend.
Now, what have been your best tactics to keep everyone happy, from your students to the staff to parents, and keeping that harmonious feeling going throughout the dojo with the various interactions that happen at school?
You know, that starts right at the front door. My wife sits behind the desk, and it's just, knowing everybody by name, not just your students, but the parents. Sometimes I remember the dogs' names. And it's just having a genuine interaction with them and having a genuine interest with the parents in the school. In terms of students, you really have to know your students to grow your students. So it's important to know, what they're doing outside of the school, if they have any other interests, things that, that may present obstacles in the way in their training, but also why you may not see them in the school. And sometimes we take things personally, but it's never really their intention to not be at the facility. And one of the parents the other day got thrown out of their truck and broke their clavicle. Wow. And the dad was talking to us, and things were kind of tight for them, and he wanted to buy a T-shirt, and the wife said, maybe we can't do it right now. And my wife just went up, grabbed the T-shirt, and gave it to him and said, here you go. And he says, that's why we just love this place so much. And you just the little things, just being thoughtful, sending flowers to people if they're having a baby. People get injured in the school, we'll put programs on hold. In terms of staff, I think owners' mentality sometimes is, I'm gonna train a staff and then they gotta do that job and that's the end of it. And in 19 years of teaching, it's never been that way. So I've taken the mindset that I have to mentor my staff on a daily basis. I would recommend to anybody staff meetings, whether it's daily, weekly, but you should get a staff meeting in there when you want to grow your staff, because you need to build a relationship with them, and you need to know them as well. And not all the time have a conversation about work, but about them. And when you look at staff, people only give a performance review and they'll say, Chris, I really like when you do this, this, and this, but here's the negative things that you're not doing so well. Yeah. So I tend to praise my staff not on a performance review once a year, but throughout the year. And that could be taking the guys to the gun range, going out on the boat. I've given a couple of guys collective coins, movie passes, just things to say, hey, thank you. And staff want to feel that they have value, but most importantly, they need to know that they're appreciated. So I'm really trying to make my staff feel appreciated all the time. I'm away here on the weekend, and I called up 2 of my main guys, let them know how grateful I am for them, and they're like, sir, we'll do anything for you. And it's a great feeling.
Must be. Now, how do you cultivate students into that staff and that strong face that you have?
Well, EFC teaches the bench 10, so when we are teaching, right from white belt, I already know pretty much that's going to make a great staff member. I have made many mistakes saying I'll never make that guy's staff and that guy's staff, and guess what? They're staff with me now, and they're some of my best staff. So I would never say to you, keep an open mind. If you really think somebody's not ready, it doesn't mean forever, it just means right now. And to cultivate that staff, it's good communication. And be friendly but not their friend. You still have to have that teacher-student relationship, and you still need your employee and staff relationship, because I think I'd love to go out with my staff all the time and really be close to them, but if that happens, I just don't know if I'll be able to mentor them on that regular basis, and if they would really see me as their boss. So again, back to your weekly meetings that we do at our school. And then I do a lot of on-the-job meetings or on-the-job or informal training. So my staff will be doing something and I'll see it. I'll wait till they finish it, even though I want to get on the floor and stop it. And I'm biting my tongue. And then what I'll do is I'll pull them off to the side and I'll give them some pluses, and then I'll say, hey, I think you should do this, this, and this to really make that floor run better for you and easier for you. Let me know how it works out, and then I'll always follow up. You know, I have a young staff member right now who's not doing what he's doing, and the first thing, you know, you would think is, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this guy, or, you know, I'm gonna really chew him out. The first thing I'm thinking is he overworked? He's got 4 days a week he's working. He's trying to get good grades at school and have a life. So the first thing I'm thinking is, I'm trying to think in his terms, maybe he's overworked. Also, you know, not every day everybody's gonna be able to perform 100%.
Very true.
So so what I'm doing right now is I look at him a couple of times, I'm kind of reviewing what he's doing. I don't want to keep score, but I just want to make sure that he's not falling too far back. If he falls too far back, I'll have gentle reminders, gentle conversations, and I'll do retraining. I'll retrain him on how to clean, or retrain how to deal with a student or deal with a parent. And that way there's just constant reminder. That's that mentoring. It just never ends. So I've taken the mindset that when I have staff, I will be teaching them for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. As long as my mindset is not, I'm just gonna train them, you know, 24, 48 hours, whatever it is, and then they better do their job. That doesn't work, and I find that it doesn't work for me.
Now, how important is retention in your martial arts business and retaining overall?
And we know that 60% of everything you do is retention. You know, it's a lot easier to keep your students than it is to bring in new students. And definitely advertising has changed since the day, you know, I started advertising. So retention is key. And it's very difficult because, you know, you need to give everybody what they're looking for. You can't please everybody. We can't make everybody happy. But as long as you got a system in place, you have a curriculum in place, and everything is structured, you know, it should be that once somebody has a goal, once they've attained and achieved that goal, that there should be a next goal for them. A lot of people don't really make goals for themselves, so that's kind of where we come into play, and we say, hey, you know, great job, you've graduated to black belt, you know, you've got your goal as a black belt, and sometimes people think black belt is the end goal, and you and I would know that's just the beginning. You know, the beginning of my learning start at black belt. But for most people, they say, hey, it's black belt and it's done. Well, now we give them goals, and it's structured in our program to go to the next level. Retention is everything. And, you know, and it can, like I said before, it could be simple as sending somebody a thank you card, or just good communication. And what I mean by communication, I just don't always mean martial arts related. Just how are you doing? How are things? Being genuine, and knowing everybody in your school. It takes a lot of work, but it's enjoyable work.
Now, what are your best tips to retain the staffing that you have, that strong staffing, as well as students for the long term, the long haul?
Well, our SWAT team or our bench 10 is where we look to pick our next set of staff. Right now I have 2 young men are going off to university. So I've already brought in a student that's going to be working for me.
Brought in through your school?
Through my school. I don't hire outside. I have the luxury of hiring inside. Our minimum qualification is black belt. And for SWAT, I like the age of 13. For staff, it's a minimum of 15. I must have 1 adult staff on the floor over 20 years of age to run the floor. At least there's got to be an adult there. And then they can handle the junior staff. And in terms of keeping staff long-term, I've been very fortunate. Most of my guys stay to me till they go off to university. But again, weekly staff meetings. You got to know your staff. You got to build a relationship with your staff. You need to know who they are. They need to feel valued. They need to feel appreciated. And as I was saying earlier before, you know, when a parent comes to me and say, you know, Chris did a great job teaching that jiu-jitsu class out there, and my son Dave was so shy and he was crying, and now he's having a great time and he's really come around. We just love Chris. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share that with you, and I'm going to pull you off to the side and I'm going to say, hey Chris, all the parents are just bragging about how great you are. So I think that feedback is really important. Sometimes, you know, we do a lot of catching and zapping, but not a lot of catching and praising. So keeping staff long-term is giving that good feedback, not just once a year because it's a performance review. We do outings, we do staff parties, we do get-togethers, and not everything is always martial arts related where we get together but then it's going to be work. It's just get together, have fun, and then we call it a day.
Excellent. I appreciate your time and your
My
questions.
pleasure.
Hopefully these answers can help you in your own martial arts business and can help you to grow and retain your own students and staff.